2021 just keeps on delivering absolute thrillers, and in classic 2021 style, even Sochi turned out to be a banger both in qualifying and then even in the race. It was jubilation for Lewis and Mercedes as they claimed a milestone not done by any other driver in F1 history of 100 Grand Prix wins. On the other side, however, it was heartbreak for Lando and McLaren as they lost out on a potential back-to-back win after Monza after leading for most of the race. But how did McLaren lose out in the end? Was it just a bad roll of the dice to stay out, or was it an indication that perhaps the team still has a way to go both in terms of their drivers and operationally to become the relentless winning machines of Mercedes and Red Bull? Although the pain of Lando losing out on his first ever Grand Prix win will be massive, what has to be said first and foremost is just how well both McLaren drivers drove in qualifying, but then especially in the race. On Ricciardo's side, whilst I'm not saying that the old Ricciardo is back yet, the progress that he's made with getting to grips with this fast but tricky McLaren over the course of 2021 has been really impressive. He could have just switched off and focused most of his energy on next year, but these last few races have shown that whilst there is still a tenth or two to find in quali, in the races, that Ricciardo magic and that experience of being a multiple-time Grand Prix winner are really coming through. And I think, despite the team feeling a bit down, Ricciardo's fourth place finish is thoroughly deserved. On Norris's side, of course there is the disappointment, but just looking at the job that he did in qualifying and then also in the opening stint of the race by re-overtaking Carlos Sainz and then gapping the rest of the field, it's just a continuation of the ridiculous form that he's been showing so far. And I think that we all know that had the rain not come when it didn't look like Lewis and Mercedes had any answer for Lando and McLaren. However, when you're fighting up front, and specifically when you've got the difficult job of being the leading car in changeable conditions, that is where experience of having a calm head, knowing what it's like to lead a race and be the first one to deal with difficult situations is absolutely critical. We've got to remember that these drivers are seeing the track through basically a letterbox, and they rely on what they can see and feel ahead of them along with the critical information that's given by their race engineer. In Russia, Lando was always at a disadvantage because he was always the first one to act, and more than anything else, McLaren and Norris were so desperate to win that they rolled the dice, stayed out, and simply made the wrong choice in a similar way to what Lewis and Mercedes did in Hungary when they were the leading car and didn't appear on the way to the grid. However, although Lando and McLaren as a team rolled the dice and made the wrong choice, it doesn't mean that there aren't lessons to be learned from this going forward. So now let's take a listen to the team radios of both the McLaren drivers back to back, first to Daniel's and then to Lando's at the point where both engineers told the drivers that the DRS had been deactivated due to wet conditions.
DRS disabled.
Yeah, crazy slippery now.
Daniel, copy. 5 laps after this. Do we need the inter?
Yeah, I can't keep it on track. The hard's just got no temp.
Copy, Daniel. We'll box. We'll box. Daniel, we'll box this lap. Box this lap.
Yep.
DRS has been disabled. DRS disabled. Some cars are pitting for inter. Bottas has gone already. Track very slippery from here to turn 10. Lots of cars going off.
Yeah, shut up!
Lando, what do you think about it inter? What do you think about it in inter?
No!
Okay, Lando, Hamilton has taken it. He's gone to an inter.
Yes, I see. We just got to commit to staying.
Okay, Lando, just to confirm, we have to be able to stay on track here. Are you happy to stay out on this tyre?
It's full wet, boys. I got a box. I'm going to shut.
Yeah, we're going to come in.
I can't do this.
We're going to come in. We're going to box.
All of these radios have very subtle differences in them, but the one thing that definitely stood out to me is that the moment Ricciardo felt that it was slippy and got the confirmation from his engineer, he knew from experience and said immediately that he wanted to pit for inters because he had that experience and he also did not have the pressure of being the leader of the race. In Lando's case, you can hear just how desperate he is to win the race and just how much his brain is telling him to just hang on, not risk anything and not throw anything away. I think that pressure played a huge part in the way he very aggressively dismissed his racing engineer, and then on the other hand, the same kind of pressure acted on his engineer Will Joseph, who should have done the difficult thing and given Lando more information about pitting, even if Lando was clearly very agitated and didn't want to talk to him because he was trying to keep the car on the road in very difficult conditions. At no point did the team give Lando a direct order to pit from the information from the other car which was already on Inters, and also all of the other cars on Inters around the track, which they had and he didn't. I think a small part of them, after hearing his radio, just wanted to fully trust Lando in what he was seeing and feeling out on the track himself. Now, I don't want to treat this video as if two drivers have just had a crash and now let's try and find who we need to pin the blame on. F1 has and always will be a team sport, and this is just an example of where both the driver and the engineer should have said and asked more to get a better handle of the situation. However, now let's take a listen to Lando's and McLaren's direct rivals for the win, who of course were Lewis and Mercedes, and what they were saying during the closing stages.
So reports of raindrops at 567. Rain intensity is increasing. So we have a yellow flag at turn 7, yellow turn 7. We are ready in the box if you need us.
It's pretty slippery, but it's not raining much.
So Valtteri has stopped for Inters.
It's definitely slippery, man.
And box for Inters. So this is the crossover time. We have cars going off track. So Verstappen has pitted for Inters. Looks like Norris may as well. We have a free gap. So box.
It stopped raining, man.
So box, confirm. There's more coming.
Comparing the team radio to McLaren's back-to-back, you can hear the calm demeanour of a driver of Hamilton's experience, and then you can also very clearly hear the assertiveness of Bono and the Mercedes team, who saw from Valtteri's data and the on-track conditions that pitting their driver was the right call to make looking at the conditions that could be coming. This entire scenario is a great case study into why Mercedes is the championship winning monster that it is, and although they've had a few strategical slip-ups this season, you can see and you can hear the trust that Lewis has in the team that has won him 6 drivers' titles, and you can also hear just how calm Lewis is even under the pressure of just keeping the car on the track. You can also tell that they've been in this situation a million times before, and it's that championship pedigree which allowed Lewis to trust the team's decision, even if he himself, just like Lando, wasn't convinced about pitting, and then the team to make the right strategical gamble. You can also see that although McLaren are a team on the up, they're not used to being in that high pressure situation of being the leading car and making the right call at looking at all of the other cars on the track. And you can also tell that Lando still needs to gain that little bit more experience and a bit of a calmer head in high pressure situations so that he can extract more information from his team to make the right decision that ultimately is entirely down to him as the driver. Pressure is a really strange thing to try and describe, but what I will say is that McLaren fighting to get a podium compared to fighting for a race win, the pressure difference is exponentially higher, and this is what both Lewis, Max, Mercedes and Red Bull have been doing for years. You can't buy that kind of experience, you have to learn it by making choices that are both good and bad when fighting for wins, and then having to do it for race after race with all of that pressure on your shoulders to make the right decision in every single situation. In the end, I'm going to echo what I said on both my Twitter and my Instagram that this is just a learning experience for both Lando and McLaren as they get back to challenging for race wins on a consistent basis, and then maybe one day soon start challenging for world titles. In a way, I kind of compare Sochi 2021 for Lando to China 2007 for Lewis, who in his rookie season beached the car in the gravel coming into the pit lane when both him and his team should have communicated better about the tricky conditions. Of course, we have to remember that whilst Lando let slip his first ever win in this scenario, Lewis let slip the chance to there and then clinch his first ever world title in only his rookie season. So even in that scenario, you can probably multiply Lando's pain and realize what Lewis must have been going through. In the end, the biggest win was that the Russian Grand Prix delivered an absolute banger. And although the first win might still elude Lando for now, we all saw the speed that he was showing, and we all know that it is simply a matter of time. Well, that wraps up another video. I hope you did enjoy this one. Now, of course, don't forget to let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below. And if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to drop a like and smash that subscribe button to support the channel. And of course, I'll see you in the next one.